Hello, we are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and we strive through our personal research, study, and experience to bring you the real truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, no hype or BS about the Old and New Testament from the original manuscripts. We look at different Bible versions, translations, etc. Three major religions from Judaism, Christianity and Islam, Christianity being our main forte, and we listen to, examine, etc., taken, etc., the claims of fact, evidence, proofs, and so forth of what these different sects and denominations teaching and preaching to all of us, and verify whether they're actually telling the truth according to the original manuscripts, or that they are a sham, that they're actually teaching false doctrine. So we are looking at the supposed original Greek translation of the New Testament of our Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ, translated out of the Greek, being the version set forth AD 1611, compared with the most ancient authorities, and revised AD 1881. The New Testament in the original Greek, the text revised by Brooke, Westcott, D.D, Canon of Peterborough and Regius, Professor of Divinity, Cambridge, and Fenton John Anthony Hort, D.D, Holsam, Professor of Divinity, Cambridge. You've probably heard of these two, and you may think, oh, these guys can't be trusted, they are this, they are that, they were part of the occult, all this sort of stuff. Okay, so we're going to look into that to verify or establish that claim as fact, if it is indeed fact, bring evidence that it is or it isn't. Okay, it's the American edition with an introduction by Philip Scarf, D.D, Professor in the Union Theological Seminary in New York, President of the American Bible Revision Committee. Possibly published, well, that publishing company was probably started in 1882, so this is quite an old version, I guess. I don't know if it's been published in that era, but yeah, it's quite old. Possibly. So we're going to verify those claims that Westcott and Hort, the accusations that they were of the occult and they were like devils and all this sort of stuff. Okay, first from it's like probably a member of the Jehovah Witness movement in the USA, possibly. Subject: Westcott and Hort accusations, original Koine Greek text 1881 CE. Okay, so it's translated in 1881 by Greek scholars B.F. Westcott and F.J.A. Hort. The two editors worked together for 28 years. It is a critical text compiled from some of the oldest New Testament fragments and texts that had been discovered at the time. Greek words according to its root meanings, a widely accepted version by reason of its admitted excellence. Some say that these two scholars have been involved in occultism. However, in every search there have only been accusations and no real evidence to back this up. So therefore, just like the accusations of the below example, please give thorough evidence of the occultism on Westcott and Hort. Next time you type. We can liken this to accusation on founders and admitted Christians such as Charles Taze Russell and J.F. Rutherford. Ones have tried to demonstrate that these two men were also occultists, but far from the truth. Was Charles Taze Russell a Freemason or an Illuminati? You decide after the evidence provided below. There's a link there which we'll possibly provide at the bottom of this video, so you can look at that yourself in your own time. The gravestone issue, where it originated and where it was placed. Charles Tace Russell died in 1916. The pyramid marker was installed in 1921, 5 years after his death, and the Masonic temple was built in the mid-1990s. These items have nothing to do with Pastor Russell's grave. The Masonic temple is not even on the cemetery grounds. It is a different property altogether. In fact, the Rosemont United Cemetery was never a Masonic cemetery. Many do not want you to see this. See the first photo from 1916, showing that Pastor Russell was dead long before the Masonic temple was built. And others do not want you to see the second photo, because some people teach that Russell is buried under the pyramid, or in the pyramid, or that the pyramid is his grave marker. Now, how can that be? See Russell's headstone, see the pyramid marker. They are in two different locations, with other graves in between them. Neither the symbols found in the watchtower nor the cross and crown symbols are exclusively Masonic, and the cross and crown symbol does not appear on his gravestone in the Rosemont United Cemetery, Pittsburgh, USA, Pennsylvania, USA. It appears on a memorial erected some years later. The three major Mason Lodge replies of no listing of Charles Russell. There is no credible evidence whatsoever that Charles Tace Russell, founder of the International Bible Students Association, forerunner of the Jehovah Witnesses, was a Freemason. Even ex-JW Barbara Anderson, 2001, wrote for inquiry if Charles Russell, his father Joseph Lytle Russell, and his uncle Charles Taze Russell were Freemasons. The reply came back negative from the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania, the Grand Lodge of Ireland, and the United States, a United Grand Lodge of England. After a search of our records, we determined that the three Russells were not members of our organisation. And there's something from Scribd. Provide that link below this video as well. Charles' own denial of being a Freemason. In 1913, during his transcontinental speaking tour of the Masonic Hall in San Francisco sermon, Russell said, "Now I am a free and accepted Mason. I trust we all are, but not just after the style of our Masonic brethren." We all are. We all are. True Bible believers may or may not belong to the Masonic fraternity, but they are all Masons of the highest order, since they are being fashioned, chiseled, and published by the Almighty to be used as living stones in the temple built without hands. They are free from sin and therefore accepted by the God of heaven as fit stones for the heavenly temple. I have never been a Mason. That's his statement, which comes to just reflecting back, finding a look-alike version of the King James Bible that we have. It's big and bulky. We've done a video on it. It's got a concordance index, details of every Bible in the Old Testament and New Testament, its history, etc. Pictures from Renaissance painters, the old painters, etc., etc. It's really heavy. It's like a bag of bricks. It's called the Freemasonic Bible, and it has the symbols on it, etc. But when you actually download it, free from online, and read it, you'll find, yes, it does have a lot of Freemasonic or Masonry symbols, but it's very God-orientated. It's very, very God-orientated. So we come to the conclusion that there's probably the God-like version of that order, and then there's probably the corrupted satanic version. But it's best to download that Freemasonic Bible with the so they've got the picture, the old painting of the Last Supper or something else on it with the sextant Masonic symbol on front. It's probably blue. You can have a look at the Google images and find it, and then you can go online and actually find a free PDF copy and download it and actually read it for yourself. Okay, you find that it's very godly, okay, very godly orientated, Christian orientated, even though it has a lot of the symbols in it. Okay, they even had a black or Negro order, but I'm reading on a certain section that states that I think maybe the American order accepted them into that brotherhood, right? Because all, one with Christ, etc., etc. But maybe England didn't, or vice versa. Okay, didn't accept them as part of their brotherhood, or as a brotherhood group. Okay, so you download that and read that. Okay, and there's more information here Symbolism, not Masonic as they even claim. Russell's use of the winged solar disc originated from his understanding of Malachi 4:2, which denotes a sun with wings as a symbol that Christ's millennial kingdom had begun to emerge. Some critics also claim that the pyramid near Russell's gravesite is Masonic because of its shape and its use of the cross and crown symbol, although this remains disputed. Despite these claims, Grand Lodge officially stated that Russell was not a Freemason, and the symbols used are not exclusive to Masonry. Illuminati, it's got Illuminati there, Illuminati exposer caught in his own scandal. This is in no way discredits the mind control victims or that the Illuminati or the 13 bloodlines are not real. This is for the purpose of the involving Jehovah Witnesses as part of the Illuminati due to his disgruntled anger. But as proven above, J-dubs clearly are not Masonic. SpringMeir, Fritz SpringMeir, did a lot of conspiracy theory books on the New World Order and the Illuminati, became interested in Jehovah Witnesses even though he supposedly became a Christian during his teen years while attending Kingdom Hall. That's where the Jehovah Witnesses meet. It's a church. He met a woman who he eventually married and had a child together. This marriage did not last long as his wife filed for divorce on the grounds of child abuse, a charge that was never proven. The custody rights of the young son went to her. Disgruntled over the court decision, Fritz kidnapped the boy and fled to Oregon on the Midwest. He eluded law enforcement for about 2 years and was finally captured by the FBI. SpringMeir was sentenced and served an unspecified amount of time in federal prison. Sometime after his release, he went back to Oregon and became involved in the counter-cult ministry to JWs called Witness Incorporated, and so forth. On March 1st, 2001, this is interesting, as part of an ongoing probe into a white supremacist group, federal and local law enforcement agents raid the Corbett, Oregon, home of Fritz SpringMeir, seizing equipment to grow marijuana and weapons and racist literature. They also find a binder notebook entitled Army of God, Yahweh's Warriors, that contains what officials call a list of targets, including a local federal building and the FBI's Oregon offices. SpringMeir, an associate of the Anti-Semitic Christian Patriots Association, is eventually charged with setting off a diversionary bomb at an adult video store in Damascus, Oregon, in 1997 as part of bank robbery carried out by accomplice Forrest Bateman Jr. Another 2001 raid finds small amounts of bomb materials and marijuana in Bateman's home. Eventually, Bateman pleads guilty to bank robbery and SpringMeir is convicted of the same charges and both are sentenced to 9 years. Okay, so that's coming from probably a Jehovah Witness member. There's lots of information here, I'm not going to read it all. And then you have counter attack by somebody else. Westcott and his misguided work. The version here above referred to is not an accurate version, it is a false translation of the historic text of the Bible, but to each his her own. Now if you want to use it, go right ahead. If the standard of historic accuracy is a translation into a modern language such as English of the same Bible or New Testament used by earlier Christians and Christ followers, then what would that be? For most of the last 2,000 years, then the text above is not an accurate reflection of that Bible which was used for so many centuries by so many. So which one was that? Okay. In fact, would it surprise you to learn that this translation, along with some others, is a departure and invented text that did not exist prior to 1881? Would it surprise you to learn that this text in fact contradicts the historic text of the New Testament in hundreds and hundreds of places? Whereabouts? Part of the challenge is that if some or even many of the copies or versions of the New Testament are not good, not translated accurately, or not reliable, then which New Testament copies are from those which are reliable and accurate? Which are the versions which are 1. Accurate, 2. Used, and 3. Accepted by the early churches? The standard for accurate versions will be the same throughout time and for all languages. Accurate copies of the New Testament are the ones used by the churches, which either are the manuscripts of the New Testament that were written in ancient Koine, Common Greek, or that have been accurately translated from those Greek manuscripts into other languages, and so forth. Okay, by answering that question, we'll use this method to answer that question. We're going to compare this so-called version, which by Hort and Westcott, who translated the Jehovah Witness New World Translation. Just a note, we're going to compare it with the supposed original hidden and preserved Galilean Aramaic manuscripts translated to English by a native-born Aramaic-speaking Mesopotamian. He's from Pt.1. He has 15 years' experience of translating the original ancient Old Scriptures. The Old Testament Kitab Eshret, Assyrian Aramaic, Lishana Artika, or Cypriot, into English. If you type in your YouTube search the Aramaic scriptures, you'll come across a video mistitled Adam and Eve. It should be Adam and Eve. And you'll see an older gentleman with a cap and white hair. He's about 60 or 70, reading from what looks like a Bible, speaking a funny language. That's the original ancient, or old, very old, sacred, scribal, old tongue, Lishana Artika, or Cypriot, the Assyrian Aramaic, Kitab Eshret. He's translated into English. What he's done, while he's reading from that Bible format, he stated on his website that when he was translating in Syriac, he was told by a priest of the original church of the East, founded by the original disciple Thomas, or possibly Thaddeus, that he gave these original manuscripts, that someone had written down exactly what Christ had said. They were witnesses, right, and what they witnessed him doing. And this, when the Church of Jerusalem was destroyed, Thomas fled, and he had these manuscripts, and he went across the lands, as we say in other videos, through China, etc. And he founded a church, several churches in India, and apparently he gave these original manuscripts to these high priests of that church, who then hid them and therefore preserved them for 2,000 years, hidden from Islam and the Roman Catholic Church. And according to the head patriarch in 1957, Isai Shamun, they were never tampered with. He can attest to that. They were kept intact to that very day. He was later assassinated in 1975, apparently, for whatever reason. Okay, and then you have others that have translated from old codexes or manuscripts, like Andrew Gabriel Roth from the Kibboris Codex. Look at the AramaicsScriptures.com. It's all there. Used to have that statement by Isai Shamun, the head patriarch, but it's disappeared from that website. But if you can find his free PDF on the Peshitta, translated by Andrew Gabriel Roth, that statement is in there in a letter to some other person of the church or somebody else, whatever. So that would verify that. And then you have Victor N. Alexander, the native-born Mesopotamian Aramaic speaker who revived the so-called associate dead Kitab Eshret. He's a speaker of the Aramaic, the modern vernacular, etc. And he found a way to revive that supposed dead language, Kitab Eshret, and he translates from there into the closest English, because there's some words that there's no English equivalent, like Milta, so he had to run around and find one which would a definition for that, or it's closest to it, the meaning in English. So he chose manifestation. Yahshua Mashiach, or Jesus Christ, was a manifestation of God, and God was the embodiment of that manifestation, etc., etc. So he can attest that he has a copy of the original manuscripts in that Bible format, bought from that high priest. It's actually on that video. You see him sitting there reading from what looks like a Bible, the scriptures, and in a funny language. That's ancient, the old Aramaic, not the Syriac. It's from the Kitab Asher, etc. Ishana Atika Sabrat. Yeah, so he'll attest to them being the original manuscripts, as does Andrew Gabriel Roth at the AramaicScriptures.com. Okay. Why are we saying this? Because we have a business motto: honesty is our best policy, and we try to bring you the truth, the real truth, the whole truth, and nothing but that truth. No hype and fluff and BS. We're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. If we do make a mistake, let us know, because remember the old saying, to err is human, but to forgive is divine. Let us know in the comments below, and we'll look at your comment and then get back to you with honest answer, and we'll credit you. We'll say thank you to you for correcting us if you're actually correct.